Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Lili Nishmasi Mimirasi Rusbas Mordechai, live from Eilat. Decided to go for Shabbos to Eilat. We'll be back Be'ez Hashem on Sunday. My wife was here for a few days with her friends, so met up with her for Shabbos. Came with my son, and here we are. It's actually Thursday night here, so that I'm not late on the shir for the Hebrew for the English shir on the Hebrew in Eretz Yisrael. That is 7:00 in the morning, so I'm giving it now. It's been a while since I wrote in. Thanks for speaking about the importance of saying Korbanos. I like this email. Decided to take it as a challenge to say for 40 days. In the first couple of days, I said, hey, I recognize this from Zevachim. I was going to keep it to myself, but the other day when you mentioned how not to be anonymous, I decided to share my idea and share this challenge with the MDY family. So here's a great example of what I was saying. I got some negative comments actually. People say like, no, tzedakah is supposed to be anonymous, and you shouldn't show off that you're wealthy. I don't think tzedakah is about showing off that you're wealthy. Most people, they give tzedakah, maybe they have a little cover from it sometimes, but it's not about showing off that you're wealthy. If you give $1,000, anybody can give $1,000. Give 10,000. A lot of people can give 10. You don't have to be super wealthy. You just got to be careful that you don't go into the screen. You should be fine. So this person is the example I'm talking about. He's telling you an idea that he had. He's saying that he says Korbanos, and he only took it upon himself for 40 days. And 40 days is not a big thing. You can do it for 5 days, for 10 days. Try it. If it works, it works. It's the same idea of like, if you fell behind on a daf, you couldn't do the daf that day. Instead of going to sleep without doing it, you just open up a Gemara for 3 minutes. 3 minutes. And many times, those 3 minutes turn into a full daf. So says the Gemara, not the Gemara. Keep on going with the email. So, here we go. 40 days of Korbanos. It should be a schus that we'll be able to bring the actual Korbanos very soon. Your Talmud Reuven Tober, Sukkah Daf, Beis. From Shimon Wanik, something like that. Dear Eli Stefansky, I hope the Rav had a wonderful Chag. I want to share something that I felt like a true kiss from Hashem today. My grandmother passed away on the second day of the first Chag, or the Shabbos Shadav and Aliyah, and today was the last day of Shiva for my father. We went to Shul tonight here in Gibraltar, where they were disturbing Mishnayos for everyone to learn in memory of my grandmother, Zohar Flora Bat Sima. The Mishnah card I received was from Zevachim about Pigel, and I was able to understand it thanks to your shiurim and videos. Now clearly explain the pshat in the Gemara. Thank you so much for helping me grow my daily limud Torah with gratitude. Shimon Wanik, 15 years old. The Chamiyara was high rebellion. The Teles Atzimar suggests opening a new type of video called Nothing About the Daf, which has only the emails and the jokes. I bet this will be a win, a big win, something like that. It's Rabin, thanks for everything. I received this comment from many people already. We might have to do it just for the shtick shabai. So, as this email will explain, I said it last night in the Hebrew shir. Last night was the funeral of my friend of 25 years from Arachim organization, Rabbi Shmuel Immergren of blessed memory. For nearly 30 years, he directed the academic department of Arachim throughout the northern region. Thousands of Jews owe their Jewish lives to him. Unfortunately, the well-known illness has been dormant for 10 years, broke out full force after the last 2 years. For the last 2 years, he suffered terribly. During these past 2 years, he was hospitalized in Rambam Hospital Haifa. He underwent harsh and bitter treatments that were not successful. But he told me that what strengthened him and gave him the power to keep going was the partnership he establishing the MDY branch in Rechassim. So as you know, we have satellite locations all over Israel. We're at 28 locations right now. Rechassim is one of the top branches that we have with one of our top people, Rabbi Yisrael Weil. He's our guy that runs all the satellite locations. And I have a picture of it from tonight. He said that the suffering in the body was sweetened by Reb Eli Shurim. There were times when he could not lift his head from the bed. His hands were limp, and he was completely weak and in pain. But when 9 p.m. arrived, he would suddenly gain strength, take out his tablet, and the moment he saw Reb Eli's shining face and heard his sweet voice, he forgot all the pain and immersed himself in the pleasure of the sweetness of the Daf Yomi. This continued almost until his very last day, which his son said in the Levaya that he learned in his Kfiyos Itim was unbelievable until his very last day. with tremendous Mesiras Nefesh. He was nifter at the young age of 60. With tremendous Mesiras Nefesh, he even came to the Shabbaton in the Kinneret to thank you and to connect with the most wonderful group in the world, MDY. So yeah, I was very fortunate to meet him. A big tzaddik, brought so many neshamas back to Klal Yisrael, and he has a son that was injured in a terrorist attack and is in a wheelchair. So he borrowed his son's wheelchair to get to the Shabbaton. And it was a beautiful thing. So anyways, fortunate you're there, Rabbi Ali. Fortunate you're glad that you're glad in the hearts of broken Jews through the sweetness of Torah. I'm not going to read this line. Thank you. May the soul of the dear Reb Shmuel Zichron Racha be bound in the bound of life. Attaches a picture of Reb Shmuel from when he was healthy. May we hear only good news. His student David Braverman. This is the famous Reb David Braverman who spoke so beautifully and basically single-handedly did the entire Shabbaton and enhanced the entire Shabbaton. So this is our dear friend. His neshama should have an aliyah. This is Rav Braverman with the white beard, with the gray beard. Great speaker. We're actually thinking about bringing him to America for the Shabbaton, but we figure we don't have that many Israelis there. And this is the tail end of the table in Rechasim. So on the left you have Benny Rudnick, and Yisrael Weil is right next to him with the short sleeves. Oh, there's two people with short sleeves. Mendy, that's Benny Rudnick's brother-in-law, and Yisrael Weil is next to Benny Rudnick with the blue suit and the shaved beard, no beard. Now, if we move to this one, this is what Rechasim looks like. Look at the satellite location of Rabbi Yisai. It's not to be believed. It's unbelievable. This is how they are every night. Here's a little soup they give, nothing major, but a beautiful screen. They have coffee machine. It's unbelievable. It's a real matzav. The Masechta is sponsored by David Salomon, dedicated in memory of Avi Mori, Reb Shmuel Baruch ben Reb Chaim Tzvi Doiv Zichron Levracha. The Masechta is sponsored anonymous. Lili Nishmas Doidi Shlomo Yehuda Zichron Levracha ben Shmuel Chayav Asher Shokav Elam Kochim Kol Chayav. Lezecher Nishmas Nochem Tzvi ben David, sponsored by Skybrook Capital in honor of our friends Meir Kovacs Taking Shamshi Shlavrak for the devotion to Torah study and the shir. Joe Gedalius. Lili Nishmas, my father Jack Gedalius. Anonymous. Asal Baruch Nis Uvegashmias. Monthly sponsors anonymous Baruch Adli Dai Baruch Tzvi Nisim ben Shoshana Leah. Yehuda ben Yamin ben Chava. Tzvi Jacobs for a four-stem for Bracha Bat Chana. Mordechai Sapazing and family, Lilichmas, our mother and grandmother, Feish Prince of Rav Yitzchak Aleha Shalom. We're in a Shabbat have an aliyah, may it should be a Melitz Yoisha, Melitzi Shara for the entire Mishpacha and all of Klal Yisrael. MDY Art, monthly. Four stem of Yonatan Nedem of Shabbat Bracha, the four stem of Mordechai ben Esther, the fourth Hayel Daniel Zeb ben Hayel Esther. I guess I could say it and text it to them, and maybe they could just put it in or something like that. Rabbi said we have a phenomenal daf, a very fun daf, a very easy daf. It's a kiss from Hashem that this daf fell out today, a day of traveling. I actually flew here. The first time in my life I ever flew to Eilat. And my cheshbon was I could drive, but if I drove, then I would be concentrating on the road. And it's almost a 4-hour trip, and that would take a long time. If I fly, then somebody else could fly the plane, and I could sit and actually prepare a little bit and come a lot more relaxed. And that's what happened. It's amazing. It's a 30-minute flight from Tel Aviv to Eilat, 30 minutes. They take off, they turn off the lights, and then they say, oh, and you're not allowed to stand up the entire flight. There's no going to the bathroom in this flight because it's only 30 minutes. So you're taking off and you're landing. I just thought about something. It's not so much you could go scuba diving.
No, that's on the way back, I think.
Yeah?
I think it's the way back.
We have to find out.
Yeah, that's a new thing.
Okay. So it says the Gemara. I don't know if you all know, but it just slipped. I'm a certified scuba diver. I used to scuba dive in Eilat like almost once a week. Before I was a monkey before I used to just drive by myself. I didn't take anybody with me, just go. I love scuba diving, and I haven't scuba dived in a long time, but when I was with my wife in Hawaii, so I went scuba diving there once. Oh, that could have been the scuba diving trip of my life. I actually paid $600 to go on one of the best trips ever. They take you on a boat for a few hours out in Hawaii, and the sharks and crazy stuff, whales and dolphins, and just gewaldige stuff. And my wife gave me rishos, and then like afterwards they saw that she felt bad about it, so I just stayed behind. But I went to a certain. Is she making noise over there? There's no ha'aris from the lady section. You're denying the story happened. Okay, not now. We'll talk about it later. Wow, that would be a first. We're done with these things, right? Okay, great. So, Rabbi Yisai, today we're going to see a phenomenal art to explain the beauty of the Mizbeach and the Beis Hamikdash. Just phenomenal stuff. And also we have a very, very special surprise because it's Daf Samachalav, which stands for Eli Stefansky, and it happens to be a Maggid Shir's dream come true. It's 3 lines. V'lochein, says the Gemara like this. Yesterday we were talking about how in order to eat kachim, you have to have a mizbeach. Whether it's a mincha, kachi kachim, and even kachim kalim, you need to have a mizbeach. If the mizbeach is destroyed or has a b'gam, somebody threw an esrei on it, you cannot eat kachim kalim, says Abaya. Says the Gemara, very, very strong language. We had this language before in Psachim. I see we had it in Yuma also. Okay. Kisalik Rav, 9 lines from the bottom of Samachom and Beis. Amar l'shmaitzik hamed Rabbi Yirmiyah. He said over what Abaye said, that in order to eat kachim kalim, you need a mizbeach to be full and whole, shalom. Omar, he said, Bavloi tipshai. These Babylonians are mamish shaitim. In other words, he's talking about Abaya. He said about Abaya that he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. Amtul diyasve ba'arach hashoicha. It's because they live in a very dark country. So they say dark things. So when we were learning it in Psachim, Oive, how come we don't have it here? Yesterday I had it, today I don't. Okay, let me show it. You could see it in this thing. I asked Yoshi, I said, in order to describe a shaita, have a guy on a tree branch, cutting the tree branch, but he's cutting the wrong side of the tree branch. It's going to cause him to fall. I thought it was funny back then. So he drew it. What does it say here? IQ championship. This is what he did. And now, with the advent of AI, this is what came out today. Well, they had to work on it just for a few hours. Think of the smartest in Babel. Let's find out.
Next up we have... Look at him, he can't even read it. Get on with it, you fool. What a genius I am. I should get a Michelin star for this meal. How am I going to get out of here now?
Oh, so it went from that piece of art to this. It's amazing.
I'm so smart. Look how fast I'm cutting here. I've got great genetics. Must be good genetics.
They're all clapping, huh?
We must make sure no one sits on the bench with the fresh paint and gets dirty. Oh, I'll wait here and make sure no one gets dirty.
You are the winner. You have won the title of Sage of Babylon.
Givaldik. Okay, so my guy wins. Baruch Hashem. So says the Gemara, how did Abai not hear this? The Sanya, it says, B'shas silug masois kochim nifsalim. When Klai Yisrael takes down the Mishkan, they start moving in the Midbar, then all the karbanas become possible. So what do you see? That without a mizbeach, it's possible. You can't eat a carbon. Like Abai says. So here's the Mishkan. Here they are taking apart the Mishkan. Once they take apart the Mishkan, then and they start moving, the kachim become possible. When they're moving, if a person is a zav, he can't be next to the aron. If he's a mitzayir, he has to be mechutz la-machna. The machna continues. In other words, it's not only when they're stationary you have the different camps, but even when they're moving, you have the same camps, and the mitzayir has to go out of the camp. But we have a contradiction. It says the kachim are eaten when it's stationary, and the kachim are eaten when they're moving. So you see, even if there's no mizbeach, you could eat kachim. My love, and you have to explain haba kachim kachim, haba kachim gal. We have a contradiction. In the one hand, it says that when there's no mizbeach, when they're breaking down the mizbeach and the whole mishkan, you cannot eat kachim. So we'll say that's kachim kachim. The other one that says that you could eat kachim is talking about kachim kalim. But it says meforish l'chayra, at least kachim kalim you're allowed to eat. So why does Abaye say that you're not allowed to eat kachim kalim if there's no mizbeach? Says the Gemara, Amar Ravina, Idividim kachim kalim. You know what? Let me answer. You have a contradiction in two brises. On the one hand, it says you're not allowed to eat kachim, and the other one says you are allowed to eat kachim if the mizbeach is broken down. V'loi kashya. Top of Samach Aleph Amud Aleph. The shortest is going to be mamish short, a minute and a half. Ha Rabbi Shmuel. Remember, yesterday we had Rabbi Shmuel, who learned from a hekesh. Let me just do it from the beginning. That it says by a bchar that in order to sprinkle the blood, you have to have a mizbeach. So for that, we learned a hekesh to meat. In order to eat the meat, you have to have a mizbeach. And from that, we learned a hekesh to meiser sheni. In other words, he holds that even kachim kalim need a mizbeach. Okay, so that's one mandama. So Abaye goes like that mandama. Harabanan and Rabbanan argue. They say you don't need a mizbeach in order to eat kachim kalim. Abaye say ma hava hava kachim kachim. In other words, the Gemara is saying, listen, we don't have a raya not to here, not to there. It could be both of the brises are talking about kachim kalim. It could be that both talking about kachim. No kasha Abaye. Umay b'shnei mekaymes. What does it mean that in two places? What's the b'shnei mekaymes kachim nechal? You're allowed to eat. What does it mean? Two places. One place is koidim shi'amidu leviyim es hamishkan, meaning koidim means usually in Hebrew means before. Says Rashi, it doesn't really mean before. It means after. You can see this in Taisus Dira Maskil. Koidim shamidu amishkan. So Taisus says, Pirush Rashi, lav dafka koidim. Elo la'achar shamidu akol. It means after. Okay. Regardless, the point is that once the Mishkan is standing in this mizbeach, so you're permitted to eat kachim kalim. Koidim shamidu levim is hamishkan. And what's daf samach aleph on the base? The second place is the mizbeach is stationary. Nobody moved the mizbeach, but they took down the entire. Oh, so check it out. Since there's no walls, but the mizbeach is there, so I could go ahead and I could be makriv. I could eat my kachim kalim. Why? Because the mizbeach is there, but there's no walls. What's the chiddush? What's the problem? The mizbeach is there. We just said. The main thing is that you have a mizbech. Okay, you have a mizbech. You don't have walls. So what if there's no walls? But there's a mizbech. Maybe I should consider the fact there's no walls that he took it outside of the Beis Hamikdash. So what if there's a mizbech? What if you took the mizbech and you put it in Borough Park and you ate? It's yaitse. So over here, since there's no walls, there's no Beis Hamikdash, it's as if you took it out, and that's the problem. No, the ikar is the mizbech and not the walls. Turning of the daf, sponsored by Dark Global, Lili Nishmas, Reb Zeli, Ben Reb Meir Meisels, Lili Nishmas, Reb Yudah Doi, Ben Reb Yisrael. Anonymous, this is Chus for Atzlochen, Ruchnis, and Gashmis. Judah Elishev and Bati Schlesinger, for Atzlochen Simcha for Yol Yudah Ben Devora, Elisheva Miriam Bas Chana, and Bati Bas Elisheva Miriam. Oh, this is that picture I was looking for. Okay. But we saw it on the bus. Says the Gemara. And maybe if there's no walls, maybe you're actually not allowed to eat the kachim kalim. Once Klal Yisrael is in motion, it's still called oil moed. Even though you're moving and you're traveling, oil moedu. It's considered an oil moed. It's still oil moed. It's not packed up. It's still the oil moed. Omer Rabun Omer Rav. So now we go into even an easier sugya. Mizbeach shel Shiloi shel Avonim haya. So they did a phenomenal job here. I'm just saying, a lot of this stuff is a lot of kishrin. You know, you have to be artistic and you have to have a good mind for this, because a number of these things, I gave them ideas, but they made it so much better than I ever thought it would come out. Over here, All I asked for, I said, give us a little history, show us a clip of history, show us where the Mizbeach was in different stages. So we know the Mizbeach was in the Midbar, but then what? What's the first stop? The first stop is Gilgal. Then from there, went to Noiv and Givon. Then from there to Shiloh for 396 years. Then to, I think it went like that. Then to Yerushalayim. So what the chachma over here is that they used the voice of like a narrator in a history channel. Todas Givaldik. Unfortunately, we can't hear it, but trust me, it's Gishmak.
When Bnei Yisrael crossed the Yarden, the Mishkan was placed in Gilgal, near Jericho. The Mishkan stood there for 14 years, and the Aaron went out with them to their battles, rather than remaining in a fixed place. From there, the Mishkan moved to Shiloh. A stone altar was built, and the Mishkan stood in Shiloh for 369 years. When Eli the Kohen Gadol heard that the Aaron had been captured by the Plishtim, he breathed his last, and Shiloh was abandoned. The Mishkan was then moved to the Kohanite city of Nov. After the death of Shmuel, King Shaul destroyed Nov, and the Mishkan was relocated to Givon. The period of Nov and Givon together lasted 57 years, during which the Aaron no longer dwelled in the Mishkan. In the 4th year of King Shlomo's reign, the temple was built in Yerushalayim, a permanent house for generations, marking the end of the Mishkan's long journey.
Okay. The bottom line is that in Shiloh, the Mizbeach was there for 396 years. The Sanya Rebbe Lezer Yaakov Oimer, we are 2, 4, 6, 8 lines from the top. Matam Aloimer Avonim Avonim Avonim. Shalish Pamim. You know, there's the famous game, Chamesh Avanim, I don't know what they call it, Kugelach in English. In Hebrew, it's Chamesh Avanim. Over it's Shalosh Avanim. It says the word Avanim 3 times in the Torah. Echad Shel Shiloh, Ve'echad Shel Noi Ve'Givon, Ubeis Elamim, and the final place of the Beis Hamikdash, and Beis Hashem, Bekarev Mamish, there's going to be a Bayis Shlishi on Har Bayis. Moser Vachabarami, Eish Yordam Hashamayim b'mei Moshe, Lenistalka Mal Mizbeach and Achoshes Elo b'mei Shloimoi. Listen to this. The fire that came down, a fire came down from Shemayim in the shape of a lion. And that fire remained on the Mizbeach all the way, hundreds of years to Shlomo HaMelech. And look what happens when you pour meat on it. It evaporates instantaneously. It's not the regular heat of a fire that we have in this world. It's an outerly world fire. It comes from Shemayim. So Eish Yod Ben Shemayim Meishel Lenistalko Mal Mizbeach and Achoshes Ben Meishloima lasted all the way to Shlomo HaMelech's days. The Eish Yod Ben Meishloima and the fire that came down in Shlomo's days, Lenistalko Achabo Menashe Vasilko. Menashe, the king Menashe, the Rosh Merusha, when he destroyed the Beis Hamikdash, destroyed the Mizbeach, so then the fire went away. The problem is, how could you tell me that the fire stayed from Moshe Rabbeinu all the way to Shlomo HaMelech if you're telling me that there's different Mizbeachs and the one in Shiloh is made out of stone? It's not the same Mizbeach. So when you make a new Mizbeach, the fire stops, right? Says Gemara, no, who damak Rebbe Nosson? We all like Rebbe Nosson, the sign of Rebbe Nosson Omer. Mizbeach shel Shiloh shel Nechoshes Hoya. Moshe Rabbeinu's Mizbeach, we know, was made out of copper. We just asked the question, if he made it out of stone, then the fire went away. It's a different Mizbeach. No, the one in Shiloh was also made out of copper. However, why is it called Avanim? Because it was filled with stones. Here we go. Here are the 2 Mizbeachs. They look the same. And the fire is the same. But the inside of Moshe Rabbeinu's was dirt, was sand, and the inside of Shlomo's was made out of stone. What does it mean that the fire, the flame of Moshe Rabbeinu's Mizbeach never went away? It didn't go away completely. But it was there, but it wasn't there. What does that mean? Mai, what does that mean? Look at these beautiful pictures. It would send sparks. Take a look. Here it is in the shape of a lion, And Moshe Rabbeinu's Mizbeach was actually very close by to Shlomo HaMelech's Mizbeach. But once in a while, it would send a spark. It would send the spark over. That's Shviva. It says the Gemara, Rabbanan Namri Shviva Ava Mishadra. Rabbanan say that spark went from Moshe Rabbeinu's Mizbeach to Shlomo HaMelech's Mizbeach. It was like a guest. Sometimes the guest was here. Sometimes it's on Moshe Rabbeinu's. Avi, you're going to love this one. And sometimes the guest, the line goes to the other Mizbeach. Gewaltige stuff. Tanan awesome. So we know, yesterday we were discussing Shlomo HaMelech's Mizbeach. Everybody remember how many amas on Shlomo? Do you remember, Avi? How many square amas they had to do the karbanos, to burn the karbanos? Moshe Rabbeinu's was 1, and his was 20 by 20, right? 20 by 20, which is 400 amas. So how do we get to 20 by 20? Because in reality, it was 28 by 28. But if you remove, like Moshe Rabbeinu was also, you have to remove 4 amas from each side. How? The bottom you have yisoid. Then in the middle you have a soivev. Each one is an amma. Then on top you have the area of the horns, the kronos. And then you have one more amma of where the kohanim walk. Is a total of 4. 4 on this side, 4 on this side. So you take off 8 amma and you're left with 20 amma in the center. 20 by 20, which is 400 square amas. But when Klal Yisrael, so it's really, you're talking about a 28 by 28 Mizbeach. When Klal Yisrael came back for Bayis Sheni, they came back from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael, Yisifu all of Arba Amas min Adorim, Ba'arba Amas min Amariv. They added 2 walls, each one was 4 amas wide, on the southern wall and on the western wall. So it looks something like this. The red area. So now the Mizbeach suddenly becomes, again, a perfect square of 32 by 32 if you just add an L. Kimin Gamma is like a Chaf in Greek. So the question is, why do they have to add those extra 4 amas? I didn't do the cheshbon. How much is 4 times 32? And then you have to do 4 times 28. So I don't know what that is, the math. Well, no, that doesn't help. That doesn't matter. Okay. The reason why they added all that is because the original 28 amma Mizbeach wasn't large enough for all the karbanos that Klal Yisrael was bringing. As the Gemara, Abai asks his Rebbe, Rav Yosef, it doesn't make sense what you're saying. Where were there more people? The first Beis HaMikdash or the second Beis HaMikdash? The first Beis HaMikdash by far. It says in the pasuk, Yehuda v'Yisrael rabim kechoil asher alayom. There's so many Jews, millions and millions of Jews, like the sand on the beach. And that smaller mizbeach was enough. 5 amma was enough. 5 by 5 was enough. And when only 42,000, it's a problem. Our friends in America and Chutz La'aretz, they're comfortable. They're comfortable in America. They're comfortable in London. When the cousins are all over the place, they want to kill Jews and they say all these anti-Semitic stuff. And the mayor of New York, Hashem Yirachem, gets up there, his first speech, and they're screaming Allah Akbar in New York, in America, and people feel comfortable. Tell them come to Eretz Yisrael. Listen, I'm not holding. That's for you guys. I have my beautiful house. I have my car. Shmak over here. So what happened? Ezra had a hard time bringing Klal Yisrael. 42,000 people came with him. 42,000. So why is 42,000 not enough? If millions is enough on a 5 amma, why can't 42,000 people make it on a 28 amma? Says the Gemara, I'll tell you why. It's only 40,000. It's not enough. The point is, because we said before, Moshe Rabbeinu's fire had a special power to it. Anything you put in evaporated. disintegrated in milliseconds. So you can put 142,000 animals in one shot and they'll all evaporate. But Shlomo HaMelech didn't have that kind of fire, and therefore they had to enlarge it. You know why? It was a plumbing issue. It was every contractor knows this. Oh, Taka. I once just remembered in Mesa, I did a renovation, did a lot of renovations in Chicago. So I did a bathroom in one of the renovations. I made a master suite. And I put a brand new bathroom. There's no plumbing there, nothing. So I put a bathroom there, and I ran the pipes in the living room, dining room area. So in order to cover it, I built like a little box. It looked like it was separating the dining room from the living room with just a little, 1 foot box. It looked like that's how the house is built. Same kind of idea. This is the shisen. There's a lot of korbanos. The korbanos that come with wine, like a oila. You have to pour the wine. On Sukkot, you pour water into these vessels over here. It wasn't always like that. Originally, they took the wine and poured it directly on the mizbeach, and the wine would fall off the mizbeach, drip down the wall, and go into some sewer system. But they didn't want that. They wanted it to be clean. So they made it. They piped it in. So over here you can see that the piping is inside the mizbeach. This is like a X-ray of what you see. These red pipes are inside. This is how they build it. Here you can see it clearer over here. They wanted it to go directly into the Amo, which takes its water, takes it right out of the base of English. Is there a concern? Is that a problem? So, but in order to get it close to where they need it, they had to build the mizbeach out. Another 2 Amo. But you can't just build one wall. It has to be a perfect square, so they built 2 walls. Shisen oisifu. So the Gemara explains. Mikar sover mizbech adama shuatim ba'adama. In the first base, Hamikdash, they held that you're not allowed to do something like that. Why? You can't have any pipes inside the mizbeach. It has to be 100% made out of dirt, adama, no holes. So but in the second base Hamikdash, they said, Shesio kachila. Did I say yeah? For a second, Shlomo HaMelech.
You meant Ezra. You meant when they came for Bayis Sheni.
Bayis Sheni, yeah. But then they said, you know what? No. A mizbeach has to drink. Just like the mizbeach eats meat, it drinks wine. And this is l'tzoyrech the mizbeach. Says Rashi. This is for the purpose of mizbeach, so you're allowed to pipe it up with plumbing. So why does it say in the pasuk it should be dirt? And not the whole thing 100% dirt. It has dirt in there. It's connected with dirt. It can't be suspended on beams or something like that. Keep him not on pylons or beams. And you shouldn't have any tunnels underneath it. It needs to be solid on the ground. And with this, we finish today's daf. Rabbi Isai, where do we go from? From daf samach all the way to daf samach beis. Rabbi Isai, have a wonderful day.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDaf.com.